Canada, whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
High
That's
not
what
video.
it is. Yeah.
How are you guys doing? Are you in
Yeah.
Brooklyn or?
We're in Baltimore, actually. That's
Oh,
where I live, and Kentucker came down here for the weekend.
oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, Sundance is just like now it's a big deal. We're sharing the screen,
I
the
know.
same
I can
frame.
see that.
Yeah.
That was the. We're not going to put anybody on the spot. I just trust you both from knowing
Yeah.
you guys that you took all the necessary precautions to
Oh yeah.
create what you
Yes,
had to.
definitely. This was a big undertaking. You, I bet it's kind of exhilarating to see two people in the same frame with no mask. Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna have to put a like timestamp it or something to prove that this. Um, when did you guys shoot the film? I obviously it was before this, although it was such a small cast. Maybe you could have done this during the pandemic,
You
but
know,
it can't. You can't. It's
yeah,
just
we lucked out. We filmed it right before. We basically filmed it kind of September through December of 2019. We did a couple weeks in September, October, and then took about a month and a half off to build more props and masks, and then came back in December. And yeah, we had just started editing kind of in January, February, and then March came along, and um, thankfully, we had one more shoot plan. We were going to go out to California and film in the desert, and
oh
we couldn't do that, so we kind of reworked the story a little bit, and we realized, yeah, we might not have even needed that whole sequence. So I feel very lucky that we got it all kind of shot when we did. Yeah, we had good timing, and we were able to edit virtually and all last year, 2020, as everything was hitting the fan. It was a nice distraction to be editing this thing,
when you were editing, because I know you both also, besides co-writing, co-directing, you edited it. So how did you do that? Was that because I was talking to a cinematographer earlier today, and they said that there's tools out there now where you can do something like this, where you're both, but you can see your editor
yeah. Well, we just
face to
had Zoom,
face,
and then
but
we
you've
had
got these what they're doing, on a bigger portion of the screen.
yeah. That's how we did it. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
we were on Zoom, and then he would share a screen in addition to that on the editing software. So
wow.
yeah, and you know what? Kentucker came down to Baltimore for a week in January when we were kind of starting the edit, and that was great and productive. But then he goes back to Brooklyn, and I'm editing, and then once a week I'd send it to him, and it was like much slower. Once we kind of embraced the Zoom editing, it was like so much more immediate, and it was like every day we could video chat like this. I would share the screen, we would edit in real time together. So going forward, even when the world goes back to some kind of normalcy, I think we'll still prefer this way of doing it. It's we live in different cities, so this is kind of like the way we can do it every
Yeah.
day together.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm experiencing something not too dissimilar because trying to
Yeah,
like to do this, and it works. It's not
yeah,
in some ways it's easier, and in other ways it's harder, depending
right.
on the situation. But
Yeah.
um, so oh, and I think I know, in fact, I saw Sylvio at the Maryland Film Festival. Now that
Oh, cool.
reminded of that,
Yeah.
of where you both introduced. I think may have was that the premiere of that film?
It had
No.
premiered at South by Southwest,
Okay. All right.
and then it came to Maryland. But the Maryland screening is always kind of we filmed Sylvia in Baltimore. We filmed this new movie Strawberry Mansion in Baltimore. So it's
Oh,
great to show it in front. Yeah, I love Sylvia had a great screening at the Maryland Film Fest that year. It was a lot of cast and crew.
yeah. But this time you got I mean, it's especially, I understand Sundance is more scaled down. I'm sorry if I'm having, um, if just let me know if there's a problem with video or audio, because I'm getting weird messages today. I'm upgrading my cable service, or whatever you want to call it, and in a few days, and I think the current company's trying to gaslight me. I don't know what they're doing, but anyway. So,
I
but
Yeah, that's real. That happens. That's
that's not just a
they'll show you
conspiracy.
if they're not happy with you as a customer. They'll like
It's
show some positive.
QAnon Cable, it's called, and they're terrific
Yeah,
otherwise.
yeah.
But you
I can
got
imagine.
it's a scaled down Sundance. I think, there's only so many. I don't know what if you're in competition or what the deal is, but it's a pretty big deal to get this film. And I saw it, of course, the other day, and I see why it was selected. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, it's
Thank
not
you.
that great. We're pretty old now, so we should be getting into Sundance by this point. But no, it's like we were thrilled, and
Yeah,
first time, I've been to Sundance as an actor, but this is different because it's
sure.
our own project, and you know, we we spent a ton of time. Albert came up with this idea like 12 years ago. It's
Oh,
been a long
really?
time in the works, and it's just been like agonizing for many years, and exciting and fun, but also just like there's so much that goes into these things. Especially this one is so ambitious for how much money we had, and
It's yeah. Well, it's pretty. It's kind of incredible. This hasn't been done before. This is a great conceit where people are have. I mean, again, I assume I can say these things, but
yeah.
interrupt me or let me know if any of this is shouldn't be mentioned. But the entire cast dies at the end. No, I'm kidding. At all.
Right.
Uh, but that dreams, you're in a world not too far in the future where dreams are being advertised in and being taxed and all this. It's a brilliant idea. So you had this idea like 12 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, just been sitting on it and working on versions of it, writing a draft and then forgetting about it for 2 years and working on something else and kind of coming back to it. It was one of those projects that it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm ever going to make it. It just feels like it's out of reach. And then right when I would think that, something would come along and make it relevant or something in my life again. And I sent Kentucker a very early draft of this in 2012 and asked him if he
Oh,
wanted to act in it. We didn't even really know each other. We'd met briefly once before at a festival, but yeah, it was one of those projects that just kind of wouldn't go away. And then once we really, after we made Sylvio, kind of started working on it in earnest. And after so many years, you have to kind of update it or make it relevant to your life now. And working on it then together brought like such new life to it. And we work well together. We also have very different kind of like strengths or different things we like to concentrate on, and then together we kind of together, and it makes the movie what it is. I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I read the script initially in 2012, it was such a fascinating nugget of an idea,
it
and
is.
I thought I just don't know exactly what to what to do with that idea, or I didn't quite understand the like what it meant in a larger sense, or like what was being explored about that nugget. And over the years, I was just sort of like um, fixated on what done with that idea, and it needs to be, maybe it needs to be bigger, or maybe it needs to just like be explained a little bit more, or the logistics of how that would work. And then ultimately, I came to the point where it's like it doesn't really matter with this story what it means, or like how it actually physically works. It's just sort of like a symbolic idea of like losing yourself to modernity in a way, and so it didn't have to be that complicated. It was just a stand-in for like this encroaching um, uh, post surveillance society that we're all kind of in,
A
and
capitalist, like uber
yeah,
capitalist kind of.
yeah, just
Yeah.
this overconsumption and
Mm,
consumerism,
right.
uh, and so it just we try to tackle the idea in a very playful, lighthearted manner, and not get too bogged down with the details, but also, you know, it it's about sort of like reconnecting to an analog side of yourself,
Yeah.
and sort of like
And in fact, you shot it in 16 millimeter, which might
Yeah.
be all
Well.
part of what you were trying to do.
Yeah, and actually we shot digitally and then put it on to 16 at the end. So
Oh, okay. Well, because there are a lot there's quite a bit of CG in the film, considering the
yeah, we
you
we
know
did kind of a mixture of
was it
CG with with stop motion and miniatures. You know, with a movie like this, we didn't really know how we were going to do all the effects or different characters until we started to like get ready to shoot. And so, you know, some of them we just said, well, we're going to work on this later. We'll work on this moment in CG. So yeah, it was like kind of a combo, and we knew we always wanted to put it to 16 at the end just to give it that like texture and kind of flatten all the effects together and, you know, give it a feeling.
I wish we had much more time. We're okay time wise, but I have just a ton of questions then about all the choices and what you've
Yeah.
done. Just to piggyback off what Tucker was talking about, and you, Albert, but that there's an interest. I like this type of film where there's like it's a look into the future, which is relatively lo-fi, you know,
Mhm.
but it's a futuristic world nevertheless. Right
Yeah.
now, there's no cap you could put on which downloads your dreams, and then funny enough onto VHS, onto
Right.
a tape, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, but I would have a lot of questions about. So you shot it in digital, which I guess makes a lot of is very practical, and then
Yeah.
transferred it. How do you do that to
We use
16 million?
this lab in Rockville, Maryland called a color lab, and you know, I don't exactly know. We give them the digital file. All you know, we worked with our colorist, and he gets it all kind of ready for them. They have some sort of, you know, big machine that they put it into, and it puts it onto film somehow. I don't know if it's, you know,
Okay,
yeah, it's like,
okay.
So they filmed it, right?
yeah, I think they
From a
film.
camera?
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Right.
So, but you know, there you get the dirt, you get some of like, you know, a
Sure.
little bit of the warp and the warble, and
And then
Yeah,
it
I
goes.
mean, we could always like there was such a debate. It was kind of an expensive process debate about whether we should do this digitally or whether or not you could tell the difference between if we actually put it on film versus just replicate the effects. And ultimately, we could tell the difference. And secondly, even if we couldn't tell the difference, so spiritually, it just felt like this is a movie that belonged on 16 millimeter, and it belonged in this kind of weird process of like it's digital, but old, and it's like
Right.
uh, in the same way that the movie kind of taps into this future past divide,
Right.
and the future seems like the past and the past seems like the future,
yeah,
and just sort of like throwing it all those elements together. And you know, if you look at it, you're like, if you look at it as a skeptic, you're like, maybe that doesn't make sense. Why it is like, if you're thinking too hard about it, or if you're coming at it sort of with some yeah, cynicism about, you know, people making weird choices, then maybe it doesn't make sense. But I feel like in this modern world, like just throwing it all together and making strange choices and putting it future with the past is like, at least it feels like something different. You know, we get so fixated on things that feel like, oh, it's just this we're watching people, you know, in their apartment dealing with real life issues, and that's the movie, you know. And it's like, you know, that's, I like those movies too, but at this point, I like to be transported into these other visual landscapes where you're,
Yeah.
it's combining a lot of different things that you don't normally
It
see.
works really well in this film in particular. Was one of the things that I appreciated about it. It also helps to cast great actors,
Yeah,
because in this film also it's a small but really great group of people, including Kentucker Audley, I understand is an actor, and then you have
debatable.
Penny Fuller at the core, at the center of the film, who is what a great actor, what a great piece. She must have
yeah,
really enjoyed I mean, having a whole film here where she could really explore
yeah,
the character and a
yeah,
nuanced kind of way, at this point in her life and in her career. And then Reed Birney, I don't know this guy, some amateur actor of some sort. Uh, and then that's your dad.
it's my uncle actually.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
your uncle. Okay,
right.
there's been
Yeah,
a miscommunication. Okay, oh, that makes more sense. But coincidentally, I've wanted to talk
yeah,
to him for
yeah,
ages. So if you'll put in a good word, I think he's got another project also.
yeah,
Maybe we can get him off of one of those. And then there's Grace Glowicki, who
yeah,
plays the younger version of Bella, who is
Yeah,
Penny's character. It's a great cast, and I don't know if we collectively did enough service to the story, but it's a very and oh my goodness, I almost left out Linus Phillips. I don't know how you have a digital version of Linus in the film, which is so much more
Yeah.
Yeah.
optimal than the actual Linus Phillips. Get a
Well,
digital version. You know,
Yeah.
he should rent those out.
Yeah, right. You could, for a low price, he'll appear digitally in any film you want. Yeah.
well, Linus, we took a script writing class for this project with Linus, he teaches these online, and he wrote himself into the movie. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah. He's
It's a
that character did not exist before that script writing class.
Is
yeah.
that true?
Yeah,
Well, that
it
shows
is.
talent. Shows
Yeah,
talent.
Yeah.
no,
No,
It
he did
works.
it in a natural way where
yeah, it was totally natural. He's like, it would be great if you, the ads were personified by a character, put someone in these situations with Preble. Oh, that's a great idea, and then we finished like the class with him and we call each other and we're like, oh man, Linus would be perfect for that, right? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, did he just kind of like, he didn't say I'll play it. He just gave us this idea. And then we were like, well, Linus, when you want to do this, you'd kind of be perfect in this role.
but either way, the script writing class was worth it.
Yeah.
It was like really helpful, and he was great in the movie. But yeah, Penny Fuller was incredible to work with. She is. We got lucky finding her. We were looking for this character for years, and it just like we finally found her, and she was just like, that's the role.
Yeah.
And then Grace Glowicki is a brilliant actress who we've been wanting to work with for a while, and Reed Birney.
Yeah,
Class act.
Yeah,
Uncle Reed.
Yeah, Uncle Reed. It's always been my dream watching movies with my uncle in them from a kid. Like, man, someday I'll put him in one of my movies.
Or The West Wing, was it, or is it?
Was the
House of Cards.
House of Cards? Yeah.
House of Cards. How could I confuse that?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Reed.
And
if you've got tickets, or I don't know if there's still tickets at Sundance as we speak today, the 29th of January. Tonight is the world premiere of Strawberry Mansion. It's going to have a screening, a virtual screening, of course, at 7:00, and then a second virtual screening. No, wait, not 7. Excuse me, 6:00. I was looking at something else. Tonight at 6:00, and then on the 31st at 7 a.m.
And that
good
second
film to see in the morning like that.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour window, so you could watch it at 7 a.m. or you could.
I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, you can watch it later in the day, but yeah, it's a weird virtual digital Sundance. So,
well, as we figure it out, maybe there'll be a Sundance hub in New York next year, or in Brooklyn, or something like that. Or I think we're rediscovering film festivals right now. So I'm glad you guys got in there, though. And let's try to do a part 2 when there's you have I don't know, the next round of the film's life.
Definitely.
So we can have a deeper conversation about some of the other things about the film. But I did enjoy it, and I was glad to get you guys that this worked out.
Thanks, Adam. This is great. Yeah, I would love to go deeper in all these things, down the line.
Yeah. And okay, so take it easy. Enjoy the rest of enjoy the festival, I guess.
Yeah, great. Thanks,
all right.
Adam.
All right, take care.